Right, good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us. Today, we are talking to Callum from Infor, and the title of today's webinar is SunSystems, no longer just for the big boys. It's 10 a.m, it's Monday, the 12th of December, 2022, and it's a cold and snowy day in the UK. We're due to be live with you today for around 30 to 40 minutes maximum, and we're welcoming questions throughout. So I guess the timing will depend on how many questions we get in. My name is Jane Pendlebury. I'm the CEO of HOSPA, the Hospitality Professionals Association. I'm delighted to be joined by Callum McIndoe today. We will be talking and we will be answering any questions at the end, and we will also be recording this session with a summary of the key points, and that should be available on the website within about a week or so. So let's just dive straight in, Callum. SunSystems, no longer just for the big boys. It's an interesting title. What did you mean by that?
Well, good morning, Jane, first of all. And yes, it's a cold and frosty morning here as well. Yeah, SunSystems no longer for the big boys. What I probably want to do is take that back a little bit and talk about software development, because that's key in the answer. When you develop software, you look at it from different perspectives. When you have a new release, you're going to look at it from fiscal requirements. What's the legal requirements within that region? You're going to look at it from your customers, because your customers come to you and say, we'd like this new feature, this new functionality. We look at it from the industry. What does the industry require that's new? But also you look at the infrastructure. What's the structure that's behind the application software? And one big thing we've done recently is we've changed the way and the underlying technology is within SunSystems. And what it means is, it means that the minimum user count has been reduced down. So SunSystems has been used by quite large organizations and big hotels for some time. And there's a lot of smaller hotels out there who just couldn't afford it because they didn't want to have 10, 12, 14 users. They just want a couple of users to work with SunSystems. And this new underlying infrastructure allows us to bring down the total cost of ownership. So just an individual hotel, 50 bedrooms, a few users in accounts, and they want to access the software, and it's now available to them in a cost-effective fashion.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, that's really interesting. And you mentioned hotels there. Is it just for hospitality? Is there a different module for hospitality, or is it the same product across multiple industries?
No, you're quite right. SunSystems is available for multiple industries. I only work in hospitality, as you know, that's my game. But it's used in lots of different industries. It's used in oil and gas, non-for-profit, social housing, etc., etc. At the end of the day, an accounting system is an accounting system. There's lots out there, and we all do the same sort of thing. You know, accounting hasn't really changed in quite some time. What makes us a little bit different within hospitality is the way in which we provide a predefined database within SunSystems for hospitality. It's built on USALI, the Uniform System of Accounts for the Logic Industry. So we go to the hotel and we drop a database in. So what it does is a few things. It's a quicker time to value, if you like, because you don't have to start from scratch building a brand new chart of accounts. How are you going to report? You don't have to think about that. We've thought about it all for you. It's on USALI 11 today. USALI 11 comes out in 23, as we know, and we'll adapt onto that new way of reporting for 23 for USALI 2012 when that comes out. So it speeds up the process, and it means that we're reporting in the same way as all the other hotels are reporting out of the box. So that's really what makes it a little bit different.
And if somebody isn't necessarily bound by the rules of the USALI, if it's not in their management contract, can they make edits to that and tweak it to suit their own unique business?
Absolutely. We've got many hotel groups who don't want to use USALI. That's not the way in which they report. Maybe they're a management company, or maybe they see themselves more as a building company, and being a hotel is just kind of on the side. So the chart of accounts is completely up to them how they want to report. Most of the hotels that we work with like to have the fact that it's predefined for them. They don't have to think about it. But yes, absolutely. They don't have to follow that convention if they don't need to. They can do exactly what they want to. Brilliant.
Okay, and it's been around quite a long time, hasn't it? I seem to think that I don't remember a life without SunSystems having a product out there, but it could be that my mind's playing tricks on me.
It's not a new solution, and most accounting systems have been about for quite some time. SunSystems came into the Infor family through a company called Systems Union quite some time ago. So the core software, if you like, the core code goes back some 20 odd years. It's been there for some time. But fundamentally, accounting hasn't really changed in all that time. It's still debits and credits and reporting, and it's a financial statement. So that hasn't really changed in all that time. What has changed is the way in which we interact with the software. So we used to get up in the morning, have our breakfast, go into the office, start up our computer and sit at our desk all day long, and that would be us accessing the software. But today, these days, you go downstairs for your cornflakes, and over your cornflakes, you'll look on your phone and access the accounting system. You'll see if there's any authorizations to be made. You'll see if there's any updates, see if any changes have happened, and it can be real time. You might look at it on the phone on the bus into London, into work, and it's the same session you left after having your cornflakes. And then when you get to your office, you might access it on your laptop, which you then move around the building because you've then got that with you. So the way in which we access the software has very much changed over the years. It's much more mobile.
Yes, that is key, and so many people were forced to develop those things during, I hate mentioning the pandemic, COVID. But the systems that were able to have that flexibility, offer that flexibility, really did come to the fore when suddenly this work from home thing came about. So is it a UK-based system or a global system?
Fundamentally, it's a UK-based system. So yes, so the development shop, the main development guys, team, the head of product, etc., sit out west of London in our Farnborough office. Also, the head of our global support sits there as well, and the support team sit there. But we are backed up by quite a large organisation in Infor. So the solution is around the world. So I personally have got hotel groups, although based in London, they've got hotels which are in South America and in North America, in Asia Pac, etc., utilising the same system. But what you do have, although it's a UK-based system, it very much complies to what needs to comply with around the world. So local taxation, local regulations. So it could be the CDG for France, the Confederation of Central Reporting for France. That could be the Italian reporting or the Brazil reporting. Multi-currency, multilingual. So in the Middle East, of course, it reads the other way around, right to left. All those things in the background, triangulation of reporting currencies, so things like that. So as an organisation based in the UK, the core reporting could be in pounds, which is fine because that's a UK-based company. But with the outlets in France, they'll report in obviously euros, and in North America, they're going to report in dollars. But you have to have that base currency, which you all report back into. So although yes, it is a UK-based solution, yes, we're head office here, it is a global solution, which is deployed around the world.
Okay, that's good. It's good to know. It's nice to know we still have some businesses going on here in the UK. So you mentioned hotels. You've referenced a few London-based and globally based. If in a hotel environment, obviously it's going to sit in the accounts office. It's going to do, as you mentioned, just the normal accounting functions. Where does it sit in the whole architecture of the whole system stack in a typical hotel?
Yeah, the kind of whole ecosystem. And again, that's changed over the years. So, many moons ago, the accounting system used to just sit in the accounting office on the PC in there. That's where the accountants accessed the system and drew up the reporting from. But now with many, many hotel systems, it's part of a much larger ecosystem. So it's connected onto a multitude of systems. So yes, the financial system sits at the core because that's your core reporting, if you like. But that's also going to start bringing information in from a whole multitude of systems. So you're going to pull information in from your property management system, because that's your sales, which in turn is bringing information in from your outlets, from your point of sale solutions, and bringing information in from there. Depending on the hotel, you may have spa, you may have golf, you may have other sports facilities, you may have sales and catering, which again, it may come directly into the financial system, or it may come through the property management system. So you're bringing information in from all these different revenue generating centres to provide the reporting. From the other side also, though, you've got to think about budgeting, forecasting, planning, what am I looking at? And especially over the past couple of years, when forecasting has become, a weekly, if not daily thing, what's going to happen? I've got to forecast, recast on a continual basis. So it's not only pulling information in from various outlets and various different systems, it's also pushing information out onto different systems like budgeting, forecasting, planning. And then in turn, we're going to take information from perhaps payroll, from revenue management systems to give a complete holistic report of the hotel on a continual basis and real time. It's got to be quick. Speaking to CFOs in the industry, that's the biggest thing they have is I need information, I need it now.
Absolutely, yes, because we don't want that end of month going on for days and days on end, as used to be, and still is in some instances as well.
Yep.
So I know from my experience of speaking to hotel finance people, when the information is coming across from, say, the PMS, which I guess is probably the biggest integration or interface into the system, can the accountant look at that information and approve it before they import it in, or is it completely automated?
it can work in both ways, but typically what will happen is, you're quite correct, you'll look at the information before it comes in, and then you'll authorize that as it comes through, a staging post, if you like. Information comes in, a self-check, and then bring it into the accounting system. Will that change? Well, it's changed with revenue management systems, if you think in that way. So within revenue management systems, it used to be the recommendations would come into the revenue management system. The revenue manager would then authorize those and then make them live. And then after a while, they figure out, you know, all I'm doing is wasting 20 minutes checking this, because every day it's correct and every day it's fine. And self-confidence comes into it, and eventually you say, why am I checking this? Let's just bring the information in. But both are completely valid ways of bringing data into the financial solution.
Yes, and I'm sure that's that varies from hotel to hotel, regardless of their size. But there'll be some accountants who are very keen just to make sure that it is exactly as they want to see it, and others that will just be, well, let's get it all, and if there are any anomalies, we can work it out. So it's nice to have that flexibility. I think that's probably quite an important thing for many of the accountants that I deal with. So is it based on premise? I guess not, if you're saying you can look at it when you're having your cornflakes at home. Is it in the cloud?
Yes, it is. It's in the cloud these days. We still do have some implementations which are on premise, but we're actively looking to these guys, and especially now that we can bring that down to individual properties, to move them into the cloud. And it's got lots and lots of advantages, which is a whole different telephone call, whole different meeting on that one. You know, why the cloud, and what does the cloud actually mean? Well, when you say the cloud, people they look upwards to the sky. It's not actually up there, guys. It's a data center somewhere. It's a physical building somewhere. But why do we move there? And I'm going to steal an analogy from Jeremy Ward, who had a great analogy. He likened it to, in the Industrial Revolution, big factories had their own generator for electricity, and they produced their own power for their own factory, because that's just the way you did it. And then as the main grid came along, they thought, well, why are we doing this for ourselves when I can just hook into, you know, what's next door and let them produce it for us? So in the same way, cloud computing, yes, you can have it on property, but you've got people like Azure, Amazon, who that's their job, to build this stuff and build it in the cloud. Why not let them have the problems with security, with updates, with virus checking? Give it to them. That's their job, and they do it very, very, very well. So yes, it's a cloud-based solution, and there's many advantages of going to the cloud.
Yes, absolutely. I'm sure most people will have appreciated that as well over recent years. Just to remind people, I'm looking at our attendees here, and there are a fair few people who are involved directly in finance roles. So just to encourage you to ask any questions, if there are any. Haven't had any in yet, but would welcome any questions from the audience if you have any. I'm sure there's going to be something specific to your operation that I won't think to ask. So it is an accounting system. What else does it do other than accounting? I know we'll move on to what Infor does as well, but SunSystems, which modules do you have within accounting, within Sun? Is it more than just an accounting system?
So yes, it is more than just an accounting system. So with the kind of basic package, if you like, you get everything in there which you require to run the business. So you get the core accounting, the basic accounting functions, you get multiple language packs. So, you know, even if you're not abroad, but you've got a user who wants to use it in German or French because that's their native tongue, absolutely fine. So you get multiple language packs in there. Multiple currencies are also within there as well. So you get the ability to, you know, to receive or pay within a foreign currency if you're buying goods, etc., from a different country. So that's all inclusive. Things like fixed assets would be inclusive as well. So depreciation of the fixtures and the fittings within the property. You know, what did you buy? How long did you depreciate it over? What's the end residual value? And when do you take it off your books? That's all within there. Corporate allocations can be within there as well. Perhaps you've got 2 hotels, and maybe you share a minibus, for example, but then you have to split the cost of that minibus between both properties. So all that kind of functionality is within the base software. That's all in there. There are additional modules which you can add on in there. So things like expense management. So I'm on the road quite a lot. I incur expenses, as a lot of hotel managers may do as well. And I need a mechanism for which I can record that, attach my receipts on, put it through the formal accounting system to get paid back the money, or from my credit card to get paid off. So that's an additional module which would sit on the side. And we've also got purchasing. So purchasing things, that would sit on the side as well. Within SunSystems, you can purchase things like consumables would be a good example. So paper, cartridges, ink, those kind of bits and pieces, and they can all be purchased and requisitioned down from a central control office. On the purchasing side, what we don't do, I'm happy to say this, we don't do food and beverage purchasing. That's quite a specialist task. When you work within a kitchen environment and you're producing, batches of lasagna, or you're mixing cocktails which have multiple ingredients, and you're ordering specific ingredients from specific suppliers, that's very much a specialist activity. And there's some specialist guys out there who do food and beverage procurement very, very well. So we connect that back into SunSystems. So we can have that whole procure to pay all linked up. So I bought something, I need to invoice that something, I've received that something, and then from SunSystems we account for that, and then we can pay back out. We can pay for that something at the end of the journey. So there's lots of different modules on the end of SunSystems as well.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you for that update. I've got a question here, and it's about going back to the infrastructure point that we made, and it might be that you want to take this one offline as well and speak to. It's a hotelier in London asking the question that they use SunSystem and connect through Citrix, and is that the best way to do it, or is there something you would suggest for an upgrade to that, or any future amendments to the Citrix option?
Citrix is a very viable way to access the system, and it's been used for a number of years. But when you move into the cloud, it's an overhead you don't require anymore, so you don't need to use it. So it's a cost for one, and it's also utilizing bandwidth for a second. So no, you don't need to use Citrix anymore. But what you do need to do is ensure that the security is correct, because it's still a cloud system, and we've got to make sure it's secure. So what we do is a couple of different things. We'll either use a VPN, so you can VPN into the SunSystems, or whitelist IPs. So we know the specific IP addresses that will come in. If an IP address that tries to come into your SunSystems tries, we don't let it in. So I hope that's answered the question. You don't need Citrix. You can, it's no problem. But what you can do is utilize different methods to make sure your data is secure.
Yes, okay. And presumably that might just make it all a bit more efficient and potentially faster, and all of those bits and pieces if we cut out that step.
Absolutely, and cost effective as well, because you're not buying or paying for software that you don't actually need to.
Okay, got some. Oh, he's answered and said that makes sense. Thank you very much. There you go. Answer for that one. That's good. So people are asking about interfaces, which systems are integrated into SunSystems. Now, I guess probably that is too long a list to go through. Would I be correct to assume that you've got the main players out there, the big, you obviously integrate into your own systems, and I think we should come on to that, and the Infor sort of other whole solutions that Infor provide. But if people aren't using other Infor systems, are you interfaced with the majority of the mainstream ones?
So you have to think of it slightly differently than like a PMS system. So a PMS system, you say, do you have an integration to this other provider? It's quite, you've got to write it in this way, and I've got to accept it in this way, and it's quite rigid. And you've got an interface list which says, yes, I interface to all these different providers. Within your financial system, you don't think of it in the same way. You don't need to have a dedicated interface from a PMS provider, for example. You've just got to have the ability to accept data. And then all you do is map the data. So we will take information from any PMS system. As long as they can output it, all we will do is map it into our SunSystems. So it doesn't have to be in a rigid format. So yes, we take information from all property management systems, certainly all the big guys and the smaller ones, as long as they can export it. Point of sale systems, again, so long as they can export information, we can import the information. We'll take information from a whole multitude of systems. So there's not a rigid list, if you like. As long as the information can be output from them, we can accept it. And then we can output from SunSystems, as long as that other system, say, for example, budgeting and planning, as long as they can accept that information, we can send it out to them. Very open, very flexible system.
Yes, I guess it's not like a PMS and that needs to be live. It can be batch at the end of the day or whenever they choose to do their updates. So yes, that's one of the questions. Somebody else is looking at systems at the moment. So tell us about the whole Infor solutions, because if somebody is looking to completely redo their systems, if they need a complete update, SunSystems would obviously be a very core part to the finance director. But if we look at the whole operation, I know Infor have a really lovely complete sort of pack, don't they, for a hospitality business or a hotel business?
We do. I'm really fortunate, and I love working at Infor because we have got a whole suite of solutions available for hospitality, and it's not as if it's one big box here. You've got to take them all. You can chop and change. So if I start with SunSystems, we've talked about. Besides SunSystems, we also do budgeting, forecasting, and planning. So that sits side by side to provide that forecasting, recasting, look at the business, where are we going in the future, put in what if scenarios. That also provides full management reporting as well. So we have that on the financial side. If we look more towards the front desk, we've got a property management system called HMS. She's 12 years old, I think she is now. So she's deployed around the world in, I think it's about 65 different countries now in various different languages. It can be an individual property, 50 bedrooms. It can be a group with 45, 50, 60, a couple of hundred properties who want to deploy that as well. Again, they're all cloud-based systems. So we do property management. Built around mobility a lot, so guests can check in on their phone coming in from the airport. He can sit in his room and order his cup of tea and a sandwich, and he can check out from his phone before leaving the hotel again. And again, that connects onto all the usual players. So we do that. We do sales and catering systems, so for events management, for exhibitions, weddings, dinners, etc., etc. So the sales and catering solution within the property. So we do that as well. Not just for hotels as well. We do that for restaurants or for standalone facilities. We do quite a lot of stadia, funnily enough. With our sales and catering solution, because obviously they do a lot of events in stadia. So we do that. We do point of sale. So for the outlets, we do that as well. Revenue management, another one we do. So we've had Easy RMS for a long time now. So the ability to look at the business and to highlight what revenue opportunities there are moving forwards within the calendar year. So we have that. With Easy RMS, it's quite a powerful reporting engine, in that we take transaction level data from the PMS system into the revenue management system. So a very powerful reporting package. Some people don't want that. Smaller hotels say, do you know, it's just too big for me. So we've got a little baby revenue management product as well. So that sits off the side. So we can now manage a full-blown revenue management system for bigger hotels, or a smaller footprint for, say, a 50, 60 bedroom property who want more of a kind of pricing tool. So we have HPO, Hospitality Pricing Optimizer, as well at the same time. We also do things like we do people solutions, so things for the HR department. So we do onboarding, offboarding, recruitment, progression management, etc., that whole HR component and piece. We do quite a lot of workforce management with time and attendance. So contract caterers, very big with them. So the ability for the employee to find out their shifts on their phone, to show up the shifts on their phone, to clock in and clock out from their phone, and for the overall business to manage where the employees are and where to deploy them based on the forecasted business coming through. And I'm sure I've forgotten something, but I can't remember. Quite a lot.
I was going to ask you, you mentioned restaurants there with regard to sales and catering. Do you do other systems? I mean, obviously SunSystems would work in a restaurant environment too. What do you offer from a point of sale solution?
Sure, yeah, we've got a point of sale solution. It's not one of our own. Again, it's a product we bought. It used to be called VivoNet, North American system, but it is available across Europe just now. It's been deployed within a hotel group in France as we speak, if I remember rightly. Yeah, it's a point of sale solution. It's available for both restaurants, but also food service as well. It's very popular within the school environment or within a hospital environment, for example, or contract catering. So within the restaurant, it would be the standard kind of setup. It can be tablets, it can be handheld units, it can be fixed point of sale terminals for the restaurant solution. For more of a hospital or catering solution, it can be kiosk to self-order or order from your desk sort of idea and go and pick up. From the kitchen perspective, it's good, the printouts for the kitchen or kitchen displays for the chefs to look at the items as they come through in the kitchen. So yeah, it's a popular point of sale solution.
Brilliant. And I've got a comment here on an Easy RMS user. And it takes me back in my dim and distant past. I used to sell Easy RMS. It was at the time, it was one of the very first property management, revenue management systems available. And revenue management wasn't anywhere near as sophisticated as it is now. And I just remember being a bit daunted by the thought of selling a system that I hadn't really used myself in a hotel environment, because it wasn't really a thing when I was working in hotels. It was kind of, we had fixed rates and discounted rates, and that was pretty much it. And the discounted ones were very frowned upon. But I do remember Easy RMS being such a great name for the system, because it made it so completely easy to understand, and the reporting was just phenomenal. I used to have a great time showing people the reports and the comparisons, and there was almost nothing I couldn't pull up on a lovely, beautiful graph to prove the point of, you know, what the necessary thing to do was on rates. So if we take this back to accounting systems, I remember talking to you during the pandemic actually about a rollout that you had done of a property management system around a whole group of hotels, and you and me both know that changing out a property management system can be quite a lot of hard work when you've got live reservations coming in and you've got to have that cutoff point. Is the process for putting in an accounting system typically easier than rolling out a property management system, would you say?
I would say probably is a bit easier, because within a PMS system, property management, you're right, you've got a lot of pressure on there with reservations still coming in, with having to manage the live system. You've got a D date, an absolute cutover date, and there's a lot more happening within a property management system. That is quite a complex one, although it's got an awful lot easier these days. People talk about live loading reservations in the future, having to sit there for 2 weeks and tapping all the reservations manually. Doesn't happen anymore. It's all automatically uploaded, so you don't have that huge workload to do from the property management side. From an accounting system, it's still a big task, and part of that goes back to how many years of data do you want to bring in, because you will have an old accounting system. Everybody's got an accounting system. Just depends how much you want to bring back in again. But it's not too much of an onerous task, because again, accounting systems are accounting systems. All you need to do is look at the data, map it into your new system, and bring the data in. When you again, if I like it onto a property management system, within a PMS system, a lot of decisions have to be made. What are my rooms? What are my rates? What's the setup going to be like? What's the structure going to be like? If you allow us to drop in our defined database and work off that, a lot of that's taken away, because it's all preset. All your codes are preset. All your departments are in there. All you need to do is tweak it around the edges. No, I haven't got a spa. No, I haven't got golf. Yes, I have got sales and conferencing. So you tweak it a little bit to make it just the way in which your hotel wants to operate, and then you can, bring the system live. So it's an easier task. It's not a simple task, you've got to do it properly, but it's certainly easier than it was before, and easier than the likes of a property management system.
Yes, and it's what you mentioned earlier about accounts being pretty straightforward. It doesn't change a lot from property to property, or even over the years. Whereas with property management systems, a lot can change on how you actually want to put your rates and packages and solutions and bits and pieces out there, and your market codes and all those things that sometimes just need that opportunity of a new system in order to get totally refreshed. So, I've just lost the question I was going to ask. I was going to ask you something about installing a back office system. Nope, forgotten what it was.
God, I do it all the time.
It's a sign of age.
Yeah.
Right, I haven't got any more questions coming in. So I don't know if there's anything else that you want to share with our delegates in the few minutes that we've got left. Anything that I've forgotten to ask you?
It's all been covered off. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for the audience for their questions as well. There's lots of information on SunSystems and Infor. If you just go to infor.com/hospitality, there's a whole raft of information there. There's white papers, there's customer stories, lots of information there. But if you want any more information, please contact me, reach out. I'm available you'll find me in places like LinkedIn, and also callum.mcindoe@infor.com. Just drop me an email and we can have a chat.
That's fantastic. So thank you everyone for listening. If you do have any questions, as Callum says, that you haven't already asked, then just come back to Callum or to me, and I'll put you in touch with Callum. And Callum, thank you, and the support from your team with Infor to help us put this masterclass together today. And as I always say to everyone, please remember that the opinions expressed are exactly that, opinions, and should be treated as such. If you need any formal advice, then please do approach your professional advisor or come to me at Hosper for a referral. And if you didn't catch Callum's details, then again, get in touch with me. We have a very simple email address, hosper@hosper.org. Should you want to get in touch with Callum or ask me any questions, we'll be delighted to make any relevant connections. As I mentioned at the beginning, there will be a recording of this on our website hopefully within before the end of the week, along with all our other webinars and masterclasses. And we always try and put a summary of the key points. So that will be on hosper.org. And that's it. Thank you very much for listening. And we look forward to seeing you all again very soon. Thank you, Callum.
Thanks, Jane. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.